have ductwork, you don't need to spend
The
thousands
Streamer
tearing into
U
walls
footage.
and ceilings to add it. A ductless mini split gives.
We're looking at all the Streamer U footage. We don't like this video since we on here. We're gonna see what's happening. Yeah. Alright, let's go.
Right? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna try not to be too New York, but I just made it back to the crib from Manhattan, right? Because I went out there for Streamer University 2.0 in-person applications. And let me tell you something. I will never do things by the book in uniform in humility ever again, son. I'm skipping every line moving forward, son. I'm leveraging all of the clout. Ain't no way I'm about to let motherfuckers come out here and skip me the way they did, son. There was people who pulled up, literally, skipped everybody. Just walked in. No acknowledgement of the line whatsoever. Security just assumed because they were walking with confidence, they were already meant to be here. And my demands decline everybody else just trying to be regular. Do things the uniform way. Do things the right way. I will never do things the right way no more. Machiavellian actions, unscrupulous actions moving forward, son. This shit was ridiculous. Shout out to my boy Jeff Reviews, Junior Mafia 21, been subscriber of mine since 2017. He held my spot in line, right? So son messaged me, said, yo, I just got here at 11 a.m. I missed my train. I made it over there, got there by like 12:30, right? We get in line. Mind you, anybody who's been around John Jay College, the way the line was structured, people was waiting on what was the length of maybe the quarter of the block.
So it was actually at a college. Okay. All right.
Right? So you have the quarter of the block, and then there's the turn to the left-hand side of the block. We were in the middle of that left-hand side of the block. So it's somewhat of an L, if you will. It's an L. We're at the top of the L, right? The line got so long to where it wrapped around at its peak. It wrapped around the entirety of the block. But we're right here.
That's great.
We moved from when I arrived at 12:30 to when I left at 5:48 p.m. We moved the length of 72 regular strided steps from the middle to not even the bend of the L of the block. We didn't even make it to the top of the block. We got to somewhat of 7/8, arguably, maybe 6/8 of the block.
That's crazy. I was gonna go, but you know, y'all know my situation. I got the kids and stuff like that, and it's the end of the school year. You know, we upstate New York. We New York. You know, New York get out of school in June. Porter's still in school. This is last week. You get what I'm saying? So with all this going on, the graduation and stuff, Miracle graduating, a lot of different stuff happening. I was gonna go for the night and then come back and just go have fun and stuff like that. I would have went in, probably. I probably would have went in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. And the one that I really wanted to go to was the Atlanta one. Even though New York closer, I would have went to the Atlanta one. I wanted to. If I had the opportunity to actually go to all of them, like if I knew everything was straight, I would have went to all of them, dead serious, and just cooled out, just party mad hard, like. And I'm 40, by the way, but I would just party mad hard. I would have nice clean fun, a nice clean party, you know what I'm saying? But I would have been having fun. I've been making crazy content. But first of all, I would have to have the blogs. I would have to do interviews. I would have to do so much stuff all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Come on, let's see.
72 regular pace steps is how far we advanced in 5 hours. I will never not clip the fucking, mess around and cut the line ever again. There was people who legitimate. Now listen, I'm not somebody who gonna do things the wrong way, at least not anymore, right? But I'm in line. I'm not necessarily incognito. I got my shades on. Obviously, it's not too difficult to identify who I am.
Right.
I got the motherfucking shirt who says the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual. It's not very difficult to identify. I'm the chiseled Adonis, right? But I got my shades on, so for whatever reason, the shades operate as a form of an Avengers costume, if you will, to where I should say some sort of disguise, so nobody can know who I am. If it wasn't so hot, I'd put a hoodie on. Nobody would know who I was, right? But Wavy's World, shout out to my boy. He pulled up. He was streaming or whatever. And We had a conversation. He doubled back. He didn't have this particular point on stream, but he's like, yo, y'all don't even know who y'all around right now. I'm like, make it hot. Just trying to do shit the right way. Everybody else cut the motherfucking line. They just walked in, cut. I saw Ray. Obviously, you know, you got a relationship with Kai. I would assume you got an opportunity to go and cut the entire line. But they had him. There was another dude, something Knox. I forget what the first part of his Twitch name just so happened to be. This man just pulled up and he cut the whole shit. I found out because somebody in the line was like, yo, he just cut the whole line and he went inside. I'm like, what? Oh, so you telling me I should have just did this shit instead of just stood back here? There was one dude, and I ain't gonna take no shots at nobody who's an upcoming streamer, son, because I understand what it was like. We all started. Let me not say we all, but for those of us who done made it, you know, to the other side, if you will, and made it. What's really making it? But has the numbers, if you will, and do this full time, because I've been doing this full time for 9 years. There was one particular gentleman for 5 straight hours. Rage baiting and clip farming, screaming into his phone, right? And I just so happened to catch a glimpse. Man's had 3 viewers on his phone, right? But I ain't gonna take nothing away from him. He's just trying to, you know, engage with his chat room and get his TikTok live popping. Cool. There was one particular point in which folks started talking about, yo, if you ain't got 900 followers, I should be in front of you. Another person, yo, if you ain't got 1,500 subscribers, I should be in front of you.
That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. You never know who you're around. So just be cautious of it. You don't know who brand you with, who brand you chilling with and stuff like that, who you around and stuff like that. Just be cautious. Especially now in these days, you know what I'm saying? In these days, it's so much stuff going on, you never know who got what type of clout. You'll never know who got what type of pull and power and stuff like that. I'm cautious of it. You get what I'm saying? I might have my days when I like wait out a little bit, whatever. But primarily now at this age, I'm like, yeah, you gotta fall back and just chill a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? Have fun, but you know, don't be putting everybody at jeopardy and at risk. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah.
You're going follower for follower, subscribe for subscriber. You really want to do this, bro? Like, what part of the game is this, bro? You got folks who waiting forever in line. We advanced the length of 72 steps. 72 steps. Now, albeit, I can't fault Kai because him and his team is on the inside. They pretty much put it in the hands of the NYPD. Now, albeit, I would hope there was a coordinator who happened to be at the front who was trying to filter. But the amount of clips that I can see now on the train ride home, looking at all the clips from the people who were streaming from the front, folks was cutting and skipping the entire time. And the downside was there was no relay of information to come back to anybody who was at any point in the line. Like for us who was right here at like the top of the L, who advanced to like 6/8 of the L approaching the bend, you had people who were just on the way out that would try to give a little bit of feedback. But if you were somebody who was all the way at the back, or you turned around the motherfucking block, bro, you probably still standing in line right now, despite the fact that shit was finished. And this is the last thing I'm gonna leave you with. The worst, the most egregious of everything was, I got there 12:30 or whatever, right? There were folks who wasn't even in line because Kai arrived, I believe, like 1:20 because the clip came up like 1:22 of him walking in. So I'm assuming he arrived like anywhere between 1:15 to 1:20.
So you get there mega early and he just strolled in all that one and shit. Oh.
There were people who wasn't even in line. They were streaming, walking around, shooting content, going up and down the block. About 1:10, 1:15 when Kai first arrived. How the fuck they get inside and got a whole goddamn interview by 2? Even if you had somebody who was sitting in place, in your spot, they was all the way across, away from where they was at. How the hell you still get in within minutes, bro? Shit was wild, son. Now, albeit, again, I recognize you got thousands of people who flooded said street trying to get inside, and more often than not, if you're going to dedicate, let's say, 3 to 5 some minutes for each particular interview, I get it. You can't see everybody. Not everybody going to get it. Cool. I'm not even upset about that. But you got to have some sort of enforcement to ensure folks don't mess around and cut the line. Because anybody who's ever been in a situation similar to this, whether you waiting for a product, you waiting for a meet and greet, I
hear them, but you know, you can't get mad at them for bossing up. they done bossed up. It was like, you know what? I'm in here. You know, you can't really have everybody doing that. I feel them, you know what I'm saying? But some people just bossed up and they was in there. They went through there.
Waiting for something that will most definitely get time capped. The worst scenario to be in is to be in one of those possibility spots in line where you waiting to mess around in advance. There's a possibility you could make it, but there's also a high possibility you won't make it. As you get closer and closer and closer to the time cap, there's going to be some folks who got no morals, decorum, or respect who going to do everything they can to start pushing, shoving, and skipping folks. Because for them, if they can't get in, you can't get in, right? And you know it's going to end up reaching a fever pitch. On top of that, people who had already got in, who have somewhat of a following, they kept nesting around the front area. So because you nesting in that area and you're pretty much creating, not necessarily chaos, but you're creating a clutter. There's
Right.
going to be a larger police presence that's going to make its way into that area.
Right.
Now, since there's a larger police presence, if you're creating an obstruction for the street for cars and vehicles to go and pass, what do you think the authorities are going to do? They're going to expedite the process of shutting the entire thing down.
Right.
Which is probably what ultimately ended up happening, because there was a bunch of people running left and right through the streets. I think a fight almost messed around and broke out. I ain't got nothing against folks doing their content. That's cool, bro. The moment you get to the point where everybody together in one spot, you are on 11th Avenue, which is already a two-way motherfucking street, 4 lanes total. You got 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and there's a divider in between, I believe. And you got people, a sea of folks who's holding up traffic in that situation. Fire trucks struggling to get through. Ambulances struggling to get through.
Wow.
The police at first, when we first got there, said, they said we're supposed to go up until about 7 p.m. Once we got to like 4, they on some, I think it's only going to be about 45 minutes.
crazy.
We might at best give them an hour or so. They started cutting time left and right because folks started wilding in the streets. And I'm sitting there in the line the whole time.
And that's another thing, like, I understand if everybody was just cooling, being patient, taking their time and stuff. But you got a whole bunch of high energy people, a whole bunch of that's what their job title supposed to be. Like high energy, really active, popping and stuff like that. So you're gonna have a lot of like crazy moments going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you try and get high energy and you try and like force it through a certain path. Yeah, I understand.
I'm like, I could have cut through. And every time there was somebody who happened to go and recognize me, or individuals who I was speaking with and they identified who I just so happened to be, or I happen to give out, my social media, because I never once, and Jeff can attest to this, I never once went and said, yeah, man, I got 1 million. Yeah, man, I got a bunch of visibility. I'm almost at 1 million on IG. Yeah, man, I got hundreds of thousands there on TikTok. I never did that. I never led with no numbers, nothing. I'm over here just giving out free game left and right, because that's the right way to do it.
Right.
Every single time somebody just messing around and figured out how much followers or subscribers I have to do. So what you doing in the line? What are you doing? I'm no different than you. We bleed the same blood.
Right.
We stream on the same, the platforms, if you will. We may not have the same internet connection. We may not have the same setup. We may not have the same product, but we both human beings simply just trying to go put out content to go and captivate our audiences. I'm no different than you. That don't mean I got to mess around and not stand in line next to you, bro. I'm not somebody who just I'm all the way up here, you down here. We both human, right? But for whatever reason, because folks will view it that way, maybe I got to view it that way. But I'm definitely going to have to start scheming.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Moving forward and taking advantage of leverage and clout, fam. Because never again will I find myself just standing out there for an extended period of time,
Try to
no
be
advancement
humble.
whatsoever, letting everybody and their mama mess around and skip and pass us up, and we supposed to be standing out there trying to get an opportunity. Because I'll tell you something right now. Here's a different situation with me. I can return back, and I got my audience, I got my shit going, so I'm all right, right? But somebody else who's standing in the same spot as I am, just trying to get started, trying to get an opportunity, you unfortunately mess around and get fucked by other people messing around and skipping you. So I'll say all that to say, I will be leveraging clout moving forward. I will be doing underhanded tactics for every potential opportunity that happens to be able or to be within my vicinity. As Eddie Guerrero once said, I'm fixing to lie, cheat, and steal my goddamn way to the top. You should too. Fuck, they're doing this shit by the rules. If they ain't gonna follow the rules, I ain't gonna follow the rules either.
So what you think? What he basically says is like he played himself, sitting there just chilling, cooling out, trying, do what he's supposed to do. What would y'all do? Would y'all cut if y'all had the opportunity to cut? Like, what would y'all do, man? All right, I'll be back with some more content for me.